Statute of limitations is a legal term that means a lender's run out of time to use certain types of action, like the court, to make you pay the debt. You might have heard of the phrase statute barred. It came from the Limitation Act in 1980, and usually the statute barred term is 6 years, but it depends on what type of debt it is. Unsecured credit debts like personal loans, catalogues, credit cards, and store cards fall under the Statute Barred Limitation Act. Again, the start date of the time frame can vary, but it's usually after a default notice expires. It's called a limitation period. To try and work out if your debt's statute barred, check the date on your default notice. Is it over 6 years? If it is, it could be statute barred. But there's one other thing to check. Get searching through your emails and statements, because you also need to make sure that you've had no correspondence or made no payments to the creditors within 6 years. If you haven't communicated with them, it could be statute barred. Sometimes companies may try and tell you that there has been correspondence, but don't be afraid to ask for proof. They might have sent it to an old or wrong address, and you'd be able to prove that you didn't live there and didn't receive it. There is a catch with statute barred. If you've already been issued with a CCJ, that's a county court judgment, then it doesn't count and the creditor has as much time as they want to chase the money. The other catch is that it doesn't apply to all debts, like tax and mortgages, for example. Council tax can fall into the statute barred category after 6 years, but it's very unlikely that it would go under the radar unmissed. It's also enforceable by law to pay it, so you wouldn't have to wait for a CCJ. For mortgages, it's 12 years to become statute barred in England and Wales, and if you live in Scotland, the rules are slightly different. Statute barred is usually a 5-year period instead of 6 for things like credit cards and personal loans. For mortgages and council tax debts, it's 20 years. Once a debt is statute barred, it doesn't mean that it just goes away and disappears. It's just legally unenforceable, so you can't be taken to court for it. You can pay it off if you want to help your credit score, and if you get asked to pay this debt again, telling the creditor it's statute barred should mean that they leave you alone. The reason statute barred, which is also known as the Limitation Act, came into place is to protect debtors from debt collectors, and so that the court isn't constantly bombarded by debt cases. This works in your favour because if the debt is over 6 years and falls under the Limitation Act, you can report the debt collectors to the FCA for unnecessarily hounding you. If you've got debts under 6 years old and you feel a bit overwhelmed, then don't worry. There are options available to you, even if your debts aren't statute barred. I've got a short form below the video, and it's got a few multiple choice questions like how much debt do you owe and how many people do you owe. At the end of the form, it'll connect you to a company that I've partnered with to provide you with all the information that you need about debt solutions that are available. So click the link below the video, go and check it out, and let me know how you get on.